Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiteboard Finance. My name is Marco and I'm here to help you master your money and build your wealth. In today's video, I want to talk about the 5 biggest wealth destroyers that will actually end up hurting your chances of reaching financial independence or building wealth overall. So some of this stuff will apply to you before and after you're wealthy, so make sure you pay attention. Let's get into it. So typically, you know my videos, I present a lot of facts, figures, charts, data. That way we're not just kind of having a conversation. But in this video, I actually do want to skew more towards having a conversation because a lot of you need to hear this. Let's start with number 1. So wealth killer number 1 is trying to get rich quickly. So there's a lot of stuff, especially in bull markets, that entices you to FOMO into it. FOMO just stands for fear of missing out. These could be stocks, high-flying tech stocks like NVIDIA or Tesla, for example. Or you can get into crypto. And when I say crypto, I'm not saying Bitcoin. I'm separating Bitcoin from crypto. But you see a lot of people posting these ridiculous gains, and you get that itch, and you have to, FOMO into these trades, right? You don't even know what you're buying. You don't even have a thesis. You don't even do any research on it. You just saw influencer number 1, 2, and 3 posted on X or Twitter or YouTube or social media, and you're like, I need to get in on this, right? And a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, those things don't hold value over time, or you're buying literally at the top because now you're finally starting to hear about it. So these are almost akin to a lottery ticket. That's what I like to compare these to. And a good, healthy study would be to figure out the future value of money that you just potentially lost by FOMOing into these things. So say, for example, you find the next high-flying tech stock or the next high-flying crypto, right? Some of these things may or may not pay off, so I'm not telling you not to do this. But what I'm saying is if you end up losing this money that you invested, let's say it's $1,000, let's say it's $10,000, I would do an exercise of understanding what the future value of that money is that you just lost if you were to put that into something, quote unquote, safer, like an index fund or an ETF, which is what I've been teaching on this channel for many, many years. So do that exercise. All you have to do is find out an ROI calculator online, and you can figure out how much that money costs you in the future, compounded at a certain compound annual growth rate 10, 20, 30 years from now. So with all of these 5 wealth killers, I'm going to finish them with how to fix this. So my fix for this of getting rich quick is investing in ETFs and index funds and also having a diversified portfolio. So what I like to do is I like to barbell invest. So if you picture a barbell, it has a weight on one end, the handle and the grip in the middle, and then a weight on the other. That's typically how I invest. So on one side, you have super conservative investments, such as cash, T-bills, high-yield savings accounts, or things that not know, but are pretty confident that will go up over time at a decent rate. Nothing in the middle where you're going to get killed, and then high risk on the other side of the barbell. If you are going to FOMO into something you don't really understand or do a quote-unquote lottery ticket, keep that to maybe 1 to 5% of your net worth, okay? That should be the other side of the barbell. So ETFs and index funds and a diversified portfolio. When I say diversified portfolio, think of a pizza with slices. Only have the amount of slice or weight of your net worth, 1 to 5% that you're willing to go to zero, that you're willing to lose. Make sense? Okay, wealth destroyer number 2 is being house poor. This is a huge one, and I don't see a lot of people talking about this. Buying too much house is possibly one of the worst things that you can possibly do because you're locking yourself in for a very long time if you plan to live there, unless you can sell it, within a certain number of years, right? And hope that you, after commissions, brokers' fees, all that stuff, are actually making out. So I wouldn't want to take that risk on, so I would just stick to certain criteria in the beginning to not buy too much house. A lot of this comes from keeping up appearances, which we'll talk about later in this video. But you have to realize, guys, house costs, they go up exponentially, okay? Bigger property taxes. Bigger house, bigger roof, bigger floor plan, 2 HVAC systems, all that stuff, more maintenance. Bigger house, more square footage, depending on where you live, more home insurance, right? So all these things go up exponentially, maintenance, repairs, all those things. That's why buying a modest home that you can easily pay for, and I'll give you the how to fix this, how to avoid being house poor here in a second. But just remember that with bigger houses come bigger problems, right? Just more maintenance. So how do we fix this? To avoid being house poor, I recommend you try and keep all of your housing expenses under 30% of your net take-home pay, okay? This is after taxes. When people give you these numbers on 28% of your gross and this and that, who cares what your gross is, okay? It's how much money you bring in. So when I say 30% of your net, I'm not only talking about the mortgage, I'm talking about everything. The PITI, payments, interest, taxes, insurance, maintenance, all that stuff. Try and keep that under 30% of your annual income, and you should be good. Okay, number 3 on the wealth destroyers are your friends and your lifestyle, okay? So I live by the mantra, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. If you hang out with successful entrepreneurs, there's a good chance that you may become a successful entrepreneur. If you hang out with people that are college educated with steady jobs, there's a good chance that you'll fall in that group too. If you hang out with 5 people that binge eat pizza and popcorn and sit on the couch and play video games all day, there's a good chance that you'll become that too, right? Not always, but typically tends to be true. Birds of a feather. So childhood friends versus new friends. This is a personal theory of mine. And you'll see why when I get to the how to fix this part of this section. So with childhood friends, they already know who you are for the most part, right? If you grew up playing soccer with friends that were 5 years old till you're 25 years old, 35 years old, they already know who and what you are, right? You don't necessarily need to impress these people. However, what I see happening with new friends, whether this is getting into a new college, new career, you're moving somewhere, new part of the country, you feel like you need to get in with new friends, and with those new friends, they may not know who you were as a kid, so they're expecting certain things of you, whether it's the car you drive, the neighborhood you live in, how much money you make, your career, whatever. So just be very careful when picking your new friends, your new hobbies. You don't have to be as strict on yourself with childhood friends because, again, they already know who you are. The new friends, they may be the ones that, hey, we got to go clubbing. We got to get a certain car. We got to live in a certain house. We got to take a certain vacation. And then also social media, I consider to be a new friend. These are people that you quasi know, say it's an influencer you follow or someone you really like online, and they're influencing your purchasing decisions and your lifestyle. So how do we fix this? Find friends that would be your friend whether you're broke or rich, whether you lost everything tomorrow or gained everything tomorrow. These are people that, say you win the lottery tomorrow, they wouldn't be the people hitting you up asking you for money, right? Say you lost everything tomorrow, those would be the people that are helping support you and lift you back up. They care about your mental health, your physical health, how your family is doing. Almost like a tight-knit community, right? You need to be somewhere in the golden middle and find friends that will accept you no matter what. These are your true friends, not based on the clubs you go to, the restaurants you eat at, et cetera, et cetera. Before we get into number 4, which is a huge one and one that I don't see talked about often on these types of lists or videos, let's get into today's sponsor, Policy Genius. The holidays are just around the corner, and I have peace of mind knowing that the people that I love most are covered with life insurance that I found using Policy Genius. Many of my friends are having kids and starting families, so they're coming to me for insurance and investing advice. Not financial advice. I always recommend Policy Genius because not only did I use it to find my term life insurance policy that my wife and I use, but because the process was so simple and it saved me a ton of time. We spoke to one of their licensed experts. She gave us options based on the amount of insurance coverage and term of the policy that we thought was appropriate, and we went from there step by step. The process couldn't have been simpler. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options are 100% online and let you avoid unnecessary medical exams. My wife and I didn't have to have any medical exams and did everything literally over the phone. I like working with Policy Genius, and I recommend them to everyone that I know because they are simply a marketplace that helps people find and buy insurance. They are not an insurance company themselves. They can help you compare options by getting quotes from America's top insurers, and you don't have to worry about them having your best interest in hand. They work for you, not the insurance companies. Sometimes there are financial advisors or insurance salespeople that sell you the policy that makes them the most money while not having your best interest in hand. I didn't have this worry with Policy Genius. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/whiteboardfinance or click the link in the description to compare free life insurance quotes from top companies and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/whiteboardfinance. Okay, wealth killer/destroyer number 4. This is the biggest one, okay? especially if you're a guy with Western family law. It's divorce, okay? So the average cost of a divorce is $11,000 to $20,000, with the median being right around $7,000. That's just talking about legal fees. We're not talking about what it may actually cost you, which I'll give you a real life example here at the end. So this is an easy way to cut your wealth in half, okay? No matter what, and I'm not a lawyer, but typically no matter what, as long as you're married, whatever income came into the household during that time, doesn't matter who made it. You can make 99% of it. Your spouse can make 1. It could be truly 50-50. It could be 75-25. Any money that came in during marriage, marital wealth, that's going to get cut in half, okay? Half of it goes to you, half of it goes to your spouse. So not only that, you have things that are alimony. So alimony is spousal support during and after a divorce. These could be in the form of monthly payments. Kids, they add complications with child support, until they're 18 years old, most likely. And here's a huge example, and there's many examples like this. Look at Jeff Bezos, one of the richest men in the world. His wife got $38 billion in their settlement, okay? $38 billion. That's 38,000 millions. And he's one of the richest men in the world. So if he can't fight it, you can't either. So how do we fix this? Obviously, the legal route is to sign a prenup, which I don't have one. I don't know. To me, it's bad juju. But then you can have the other side of the argument where it's like, well, if you really love me and nothing's going to happen, you wouldn't mind signing this thing anyway, right? So just be careful out there. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I tend to look at this a little bit more pragmatically, but things happen in marriage, whether they're expected or unexpected, that could lead to divorce, and this is one of the biggest wealth destroyers by far. Okay, finally, number 5. This one is a no-brainer, but there's a good how to fix this solution at the end, so pay attention. These are status symbols, okay? We kind of alluded to this with, the house poor, the clubbing, the restaurants, the vacations, social media, things like that. However, we get into a different echelon once you start making new money, nouveau riche, right? Your whole family's been blue collar. Now you're the doctor in the family. You're starting to make a bunch of money, right? Money is new to you and your family. That's when you can kind of get the itch to get into the super expensive watches, bags, cars, things like that, luxury items. So here's the thing that I would just very pragmatically add. If you're in the wealth building phase, I'd try and stay away from these items in general. If you're already wealthy or close to 25 times your annual expenses and you're getting close to that financially independent retire early number, I'd keep these to a very small percentage of your net worth, okay? So again, look at it like the stock pizza pie that I keep alluding to over all these years. Only make it a certain small percentage slice, right? If these things were to get stolen tomorrow and you can't get them back, whether it's a watch, a purse, a car, whatever, you'd be okay with these items going to zero, or that slice of your net worth pie going to zero. The problem with these items, though, is that they're like tattoos, right? It's hard to just get one. You get one tattoo, you want to get another. Next thing you know, you're covered in sleeves, right? So it's hard to just buy one Rolex. Then you want to get the, let's call it a Breitling or a Richard Mille or whatever, just these really expensive watches. Same thing with cars, right? There's cars that people love, they get old. It's human nature. You want to get a different one or a new one. At least cars you can sometimes sell for at least what you bought it for, if not more. But if you're the new buyer of let's call it a daily driver luxury car, you're going to take a 30, 40, 50% haircut all day long, unless it's a collectible or rare or not a daily driver. So how do we fix this? Keep these items to a small percentage of your net worth, which I mentioned earlier. That way, hey, it's a small portion of my pie, aka net worth. And, I earned it, I deserve it, pat yourself on the back. But again, I wouldn't do this if you're still in the wealth building phase. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so now that we went over these 5 wealth killers, I just want to do a quick recap. Think of your pizza pie, aka your net worth. Keep these things to a small percentage if you have to buy these material things. However, to recap, when you're in the wealth building phase, try and stay away from all these things, okay? I'm not saying don't have friends. I'm not saying don't go out. I'm not saying don't get married. That would be ridiculous, right? The mantra of my channel for years has always been find the golden middle. For example, I'll give you a perfect example. My wife and I, we just booked a trip to Turks and Caicos. I'm looking at resorts. These things are like $1,000 a night, $2,000 a night, $5,000 a night. I'm like, screw that. That's way too much. What did I do? We still found a cheap flight. It was like $1,000 for 2 of us. And we found a really inexpensive Airbnb. We're actually paying $975 for 5 nights, believe it or not. So you can still have your cake and eat it too. So we're going to get there for, let's call it $2,000, spend maybe, $2,000 while we're there on food and excursions and things like that. There you go. Really awesome, fun vacation for $3-4 all in. Now, if I were to go the crazy route, which I'm trying to tell you to avoid in this video, I could have stayed at a ridiculous resort, eating out every night, expensive restaurants, this, and this. And then you're at 10, 15 grand for the same exact vacation. So I would just try and make pragmatic decisions like that and find deals when you can, and you can still have your cake and eat it too. Be cognizant of these 5 wealth destroyers and let me know if there's some that I missed down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Please share this video with a family member or a friend. And as always, have a prosperous day. Let me check the time on my Rolex Submariner. Oh, it's not wound up. Let me check my phone. 10:37. Okay, got it. Sounds good. Just kidding. It's a Seiko. Relax.